Manhunter. And as I guessed, it was about Martian Manhunter. Mostly. So yeah, I'm gonna start off right away saying I was slightly disappointed for two main reasons. One, I was expecting this episode's focus to be Kara trying to win back the public. And yeah, that came up in passing really. It wasn't like shoved off to the side, just there were more important things going on. And two, it wasn't quite as good as the last 2 weeks. It was not bad by any means. In fact, I enjoyed the episode quite a bit, except for, again, this. It felt really rushed in places, like Jeremiah and John Jones bonding, for example. That just. They talked for 5 minutes and then people were dead, and he was being. Again, I think that can kind of be forgiven this time around because they had to do a lot in this episode. Mainly, we got some really cool flashbacks. Apparently, Alex was kind of a mess before she was recruited into DEO. And I'm not gonna lie, Alex the party girl caught me by surprise. You could have told me just about any other mysterious past, and I would have believed you, but I would not have guessed party girl. And we got to see the return of the girl who played Kara, young Kara, and the pilot. And this is like the first time I remember her. Okay, there was another flashback with her, but this is like the most she's done, I think, aside from getting the pod and look sad. And she, and she's good. She's really good. And it just her. There was a scene where she like saved people from burning cars, and she just doesn't hesitate. She just runs right in and does it. And it was a really cool scene. And before that, she's just standing around soaking up the sun. And there's the stereotypical scene or typical scene where she's having trouble controlling her powers. My first thought was, shouldn't they have like taught her to get that stuff under control before sending her off to school for safety reasons? But that could be a lot to take in for a normal person. I mean, I had to shift schools a lot as a kid, and let's just say I became known in a couple of schools as the crybaby because my first day I was almost always crying. Uh, I mentioned the social anxiety, but anyway. So yeah, so I get, just new environments. We don't know how long it was between she gets to Earth and starting school, so I can easily accept being overstimulated. Um, I do have to. There is one major criticism. Well, I guess not major. Just sort of something that make me roll my eyes and go, really. Um, I mentioned before that I really liked. They gave a really good reason for John Jones to be not Martian Manhunter, to like try to use his powers as little as possible, and that was like he tried to alter a security guard's mind to say you never saw me, tried to pull a Jedi mind trick basically, and he wiped the guy's mind for like years. I think they said they showed him a picture of his daughter and he didn't recognize her. So yeah, as soon as that happens, like okay, yeah, I do not blame you, John Jones, for trying to keep your powers secret. That would be terrible. I would feel horrible for doing something like that. But then he tries to read Harper's mind, the one general or admiral or whatever. Apparently, he's a comic book character that I'm not remembering because I checked Twitter before recording this and people were mentioning that. But, he gets ready to wipe that guy's mind, and Alex is like, no, don't. He just goes, oh, don't worry. I've gotten better at this. And my immediate thought was, when? Because, seriously, has he used his telepathy at all since the security guard incident? But, again, it was just sort of, really, but I guess I can live with it because it led to a very interesting plot twist that I wasn't expecting, and that apparently Jeremiah is alive. And another thing that caught me off guard is that I don't know why it makes as soon as Alex said we're fugitives, I was like, oh, duh. But yeah, I was expecting just Alex and Martian Manhunter to walk right back into the DEO like nothing happened. Which, again, as soon as Alex said we're fugitives now, I was like, oh yeah, that's silly. Yeah, I don't know why I was expecting that. But, well, I was expecting it because any other show, or well, maybe not any other show, but the average show, the normal show, it's happened enough that, yes, that is what we come to expect. So again, I really like that they are shaking up the status quo. And again, I'm sure by the end of the season, at the very least, Alex will be back. I'm wondering if, I mean, I don't want David Hardwood to leave because he's fantastic, but I'm wondering if they might, again, start to build their own little universe. Um, but speaking of the DEO, um, I'm actually completely blanking on her name. I know it's a Hispanic name, but the one DEO officer whose basically entire point is to go, sir or ma'am, this is happening. You need to go do that. She got I don't know if I'd call it character development, but it was a character moment where Supergirl asks her to disable the whatever they got going on so she can't use her super hearing to listen in on interrogations, and she says, oh, I can't do that, ma'am, and I need to go do my job, but then she walks away and leaves her ear pierced behind. I thought that was a nice little moment. And then she had another one at the end where she's like, ma'am, there's a bank robbery going on, but yeah, it's not alien related, but I thought you might want to know. And again, I don't know. The fact that she just added that at the end, it made me smile. I like that. It was great to see Dean Cain again. Again, when he showed up in the last episode, he showed up, and I just went on about how he's one of my favorite Superman, and he is. And oh yeah, I'm glad I mentioned that because it triggered me on a really thing I really want to make sure I mentioned. I mentioned a couple times that the real Hank Henshaw, they're not going to be able to do exactly what they did with him in the comics, but I'd be okay with that as long as he hated Superman. He, when he's like about to kill John Jones, he says, "You're the most powerful person on the planet." You know who said that? Superman. And my roommate pointed out, I mean, like, I went over my head at first, but he sounded really angry when he said that. So, and if Jeremiah's still alive, we could see the return of Hank Henshaw. And while we won't be able to do the big storyline where he's famous for, and I'm being vague because on the off chance anyone decides to read it, I don't want to spoil it. But it was a great twist, and he was an amazing villain. I freaking loved it. So yeah, I'm hope if they decide to write Martian Manhunter out of the show, I'm hoping David Harbour will come back as actually Hank Henshaw at some point. Uh, oh, the second assistant, I'm glad she didn't disappear. I'm glad she's basically getting a story arc. She's being really witchy, let's say, but again, that's sort of the point. And they're doing it. I like the way they're doing it. I like that they just built it up. They're building it up over a few episodes, and it's just like, hey, here's today's villain. Have fun. It's part of the reason why I like Venom a lot in the Spider-Man cartoons, the '90s one and Spectacular Spider-Man, because he was a character from day one, and then they. But again, that's a tangent. Anyway, if you're a Spider-Man fan, watch Spectacular Spider-Man. If you don't, you're a bad person. Uh, so I like that, and I like the scene where she discovers her power, and I'm kind of glad I checked Twitter before recording this because I saw a really funny tweet from Jeremy Jordan, who plays Win, about how people need to stop jumping off the roofs around Win. He's going to take it personally, which is something I wouldn't have thought of, I admit. But yeah, that was funny. And yeah, speaking of Win, that moment where it's revealed he's the one who basically ratted assistant number two out. I'm blanking on her name entirely. You could tell he was just well, I don't know, maybe heartbroken was a good word, but he wasn't happy, and he wasn't just, I'm pissed at you. I'm just like, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed because he obviously cares about her, and again, that's why I really like Win. He's a really good guy. and he's trying to help her, and that's what the very last scene was. Again, as much as I love the cast, I love characters. I'm very character driven when it comes to what shows and other media I like. If I like the characters, I don't care much about anything else. And again, sprouting off the whole amazing cast thing, the characters are all fantastic. Going off the assistant subplot, Cat didn't buy it at all. I really like that. And another great Cat moment was we got to see Kara's interview for the job. And at first, she does the typical Grant thing, just basically trying to tear Kara down. But like Kara says something about not having self-esteem, and you can tell Kat's like, "Well, I don't want you to have no." I mean, she never says that, but that's her look. It's like, well, you should have some self-esteem. So again, right from the get-go, okay, the pilot was rocky. A few episodes after the pilot were rocky, but the character from the get-go has had good attention. So again, this is just a great little character moment. And Lucy Lane not only now knows Supergirl's identity, which again, great scene. I'm always a sucker for the shirt rip. I'm not even a big Superman. I'm not the hugest Superman fan. Even when I hated Superman, I was a sucker for the shirt rip. So yeah, that was nice. And then she's in charge of the DEO, so I'm glad the character's around. And again, good bonding between her and Kara. Um, Shooting off of that, the breakout scene. I get why Supergirl just didn't attack the truck in Supergirl. I get why she was in disguise. And as the scene ended, I understood why they do it, but her riding a motorcycle was just weird to me. kind of in a 60s Batman sort of way, I guess. But again, it makes sense because John and Alex use those to ride off into the night. Don't know why John couldn't fly, but so yeah. So overall, this is a good episode. Again, my disappointment comes from it wasn't one about what I was hoping it would be about, and after the last 2 weeks set up a really high bar. However, we got a preview for next week, and it's the Flash. And I have a feeling I'm gonna have to do another one of my very short vlogs between now and next week because Flash returns from its mini hiatus tomorrow. I won't be able to see it till Wednesday because I don't have cable. I watch that on Hulu. But I'm sure they're going to set up. I'm really hoping for something like the last scene is Barry comes through the portal and he looks around and Quantum Leap moment, just looks around and goes, oh boy, or something along those lines. I mean, both the staff on both shows are geeky enough. I could see them doing something like that. But I'm just hoping for like the last shot of tomorrow's Flash is Barry showing up on Supergirl's Earth and just like see her fly across the sky, if nothing else, something like that. But again, the CBS needs to work on the previews. I'll admit this because they don't tell you anything. I mean, I understand some trailers can be vague and that can work just as well, but it just seems like so random. There's no flow. You don't really get any gist of what the episode is really about, and a lot of times I really feel misled. Like I mentioned before, I thought one episode was going to be one big fight scene, and there was not really that much of, if any, fighting in it. So, and again, they made this week mostly look like it was going to be about Kara trying to win the city back. And yeah, again, so again, it's just beginning to sound more and more like the network is the big problem, and not so much anything with the show itself. Because we know these people can do a very good superhero show because this is like the same staff that make Flash. At least some of them are. But that's something I've beaten half to death, and we are approaching 15 minutes. So, but yes, overall good episode. But at this point, I'm just waiting for next week. So, see you guys then.